Okay, so a boomer has just uploaded a video called Perfect Example Why Nobody Will Hire Gen Z, which is an absurd statement because Gen Z is the most in demand work demographic of all time. Um, Anytime you listen to a boomer rant or complain about why isn't Gen Z working? Why isn't the younger generation wanting to work? Because we have the highest productivity of any generation in American history. You can look it up. We have the highest productivity of any generation in American history. Compare the stats from 50 years ago to today. We are working twice, triple, even sometimes quadruple as much and making very little. Not even enough to afford a house, not even enough to afford rent, not enough to afford transportation. And here this boomer is rambling on social media about why nobody will hire us would clearly we are the most in demand. Okay, they don't want a boomer work for them because boomers are going to demand pensions, they're going to demand retirement funds, they're going to demand all these sort of benefits, entitlements. They want free healthcare, they want free dental. But Gen Z, they'll work for just a wage. They say, hey, give me $15 an hour. All I want is $15 an hour. I don't want any free dental, no free healthcare, nothing. And yeah, that's why we are so in demand because we're not entitled like the older generation.
Nobody wants to hire them, and then they go ahead and do this.
I noticed a credit card charge for 2 flights to St. Lucia for December, and just curious of what that is.
Oh, I mean, that's just so that we can go and scout before we actually have the retreat and make sure that it's like the vibe. And I mean, it looks like the vibe, but how will we know unless we've gone ourselves, you know?
Now, that honestly is not a bad argument. Okay, if you want to have a retreat somewhere for your company or for your job, the common sense um idea would be to go to the island first before you spend thousands of dollars on a retreat and an event of some sort. So yeah, this guy's just crapping on Gen Z. Oh, how dare these young people? How dare they actually visit a place before actually like this is part of her job. Okay, now honestly, the language isn't professional, but besides that, it actually makes sense.
It's not just like a fun trip. Like, we're obviously going to be working.
So you don't see how booking 2 first class tickets to St. Lucia is a massive waste of company money?
I don't know that I would say massive. I mean, it's like, how would we not get first class? I'm just confused. Like, how would you fly to St. Lucia?
Okay, so let's go ahead and schedule a one-on-one after this meeting. I don't feel like it's appropriate to kind of dive into this further and what a kind of horrible decision that this was on your part.
So yeah, just crapping on Gen Z, and it appears that everyone in that meeting was young. Okay, it was not a boomer that was in charge in that Zoom call. They were all young white women, so I don't know what exactly the point of this video was, but hey, so I'm gonna watch a few more shorts, because screw it, why not? Gen Z discovers the cycle of life.
Working a basic 9 to 5 is causing Gen Z to have a mental breakdown.
Work until we have to die just for the privilege of being alive? Huh? Like, we never asked to be born, but now we're obligated to do labor until we die. Huh? We have to work somewhere just to afford a house that we're never at because we're working to afford the house.
Now, this is the problem I have with this take. People are assuming just because you work, you'll be able to afford a house, you'll be able to afford rent, you'll be able to afford the basic necessities of life. The minimum wage at this current moment is at 7.25 an hour, which is not even anywhere close to a livable, affordable wage. So you're literally just working to maybe feed yourself. Maybe, hey, if you work like 50, 60 hours a week, you'll have the privilege of being homeless and then spending the remainder of your life at work where you're pretty much a slave to a boss for the remainder of the week, however many hours you're working. And then once you leave work, you are having the privilege of being homeless, and maybe you'll be able to eat crappy food that's GMO filled, artificially flavored, not real food. While the rich people you work for that don't do any work, no manual labor whatsoever, are eating steak, they're eating lobster, they're eating all these good, extravagant meals at design. They're wearing designer clothes. They have a specialty taste for $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 meals while you are literally starving. This is the greatest inequality that we've ever seen in human history. Okay, ancient kings couldn't even have dreamed of being this much richer than the average population.
Is the meaning of life to work and pay taxes and then die? On top of that, we also have to work to afford our vehicle to get to work in other places.
Now, yeah, she has a very good point here because most people don't have vehicles to just go out and have fun. Most people have vehicles just so they can get to work. So you're subsidizing for your boss's transportation of you to the job site. So no, it's a scam. It's a scam. And after all your bills are paid off, you probably won't even have enough money to even travel to anywhere fun. You don't probably won't even have time to do anything fun. Let's be real. These jobs just don't pay enough.
And afford gas just to get to work. And we also have to pay taxes for our roads to drive on to get to work.
Literally. Okay, now. Oh, Gen Z is so ungrateful. Why don't you guys just shut up and keep your head down and do the work? I mean, come on, man. If previous generations thought the way these boomers are thinking right now, we'd still be working 20-hour days in sweatshops, okay, with child labor. Okay, that's where we'd be right now. If we didn't have unions, there would be no minimum wage. There would be nothing like safety regulations. There was a fire, I think it was in like New York or something, where a fire broke out in the workplace and there was no fire escape. There was no emergency exit, and like I think like over 100 people, women died. They burned to death. And then after that happened, the outcry and the backlash caused there to be more regulations on the corporations, not on, if you don't like it, just don't work it. No, because the system in of itself demands that you work. So it's not really a choice, is it? If you have to work in order to survive, it's not a choice. It is literally just expected. Okay, you work or you die. You work or you suffer. Okay, unless you want to be homeless, living on the side of the street, just holding up a sign. But even then, that's still a form of work when you really think about it. Holding up a sign in the freezing cold for like 12 hours a day. Yes, that is a form of work. You either work or you die. Okay, unless you have somebody take care of you, which many people do not. The system will, like, imagine if the only job in the area you live in is McDonald's, and McDonald's only pays you $7.25 an hour. Is that really a choice? If it's the only place in your area that is hiring, it's not a freaking choice, is it?
Pretty much just work and die. Let's not forget about life insurance just in case we almost die. And then we have to work for our children to go to school to learn how to work. So our children know how to work for their children so that their children can go to school and go to work. Like, somebody tell me that this is fair. I'm stressed.
This cannot continue. This is a problem for this generation.
So I'm not sure what this Benny Johnson guy is trying to say. He's saying this cannot continue. Oh, no, Gen Z discovered the cycle of life. I'm like, okay, he's not really adding any real input. He's not calling out the elephant in the room, which is his generation, has lived off of the upcoming generations. So they take out a bunch of debts so they can live a life of luxury. And then the next generation is bogged down by that debt, and they have to pay off. Like, it's a cycle of debt. It's generational poverty. Okay? Just like boomers lived a life of luxury in the 50s, the 60s, and the 70s, and maybe even the 80s, while the previous or the upcoming generations literally had to pay for that debt. So they paid for something. They're paying for something that they weren't even able to benefit off of. You're not able to benefit off of something that happened or that was given before you were even born. So yeah, I literally just typed in Gen Z. I'm just gonna watch these shorts. Gen Alpha adults, year 2043. Let's watch this.
We're almost out of food. How much money is left? 40 Robux. Should last us 10 days. Good. I still can't believe it turned out like this. Yeah, I miss the days when we were still iPad kids. They couldn't separate us, me and my iPad, or I cry. That was equivalent to torture. Amen, brother. So how long have you guys been off the pads? I'm 5 years clean today. But I still get the iPad withdrawals. Here, do the exercises. I try to remember happy thoughts from your childhood. Coco Melon. Skibbity toilet. Thanks. Let's see if there's any news on the radio. Wait a minute. I love this song. Hey, at least we're in the peak era of music. Hey, get it, antenna. You kids and your stupid dancing and music. Don't be a gyatho. Back in my day, dancing didn't look so stupid. There was grace to it. See? Okay, Zoomer. Hey, we fought for you Gen Alpha's freedom while you let the Gen Betas become slaves.
So I think the point of this skit is to say that the world will literally be an apocalyptic wasteland because people are so socially, mentally, physically dysfunctional. I remember reading a statistic that said 50% of all human beings in the developed world will be obese within like 5-10 years. Okay, so you cannot have a sustainable population. Like, just imagine how short the human lifespan will be with those statistics. And that's not even including all of the toxins, the chemicals, the forever chemicals in the environment that we just cannot get rid of because they are literally forever chemicals. And that in turn ruins your hormones. Like, I've read something that said there's a statistic that said testosterone rates have decreased by 50%. Female infertility has increased by a large margin also. So when you have a generation of human beings that can no longer reproduce, that can no longer coexist within a community, then that species will obviously go extinct. What we are witnessing is the extinction of human beings. Gen Alpha will be the last generation ever. Okay, that's where we're heading. Just looking at current patterns and current trajectories, we know that if things keep going the same way they are going, humans will literally not be able to reproduce naturally. That's just a fact. Reproductive levels are already below replacement. So yeah, it probably won't even look like this. This is putting it lightly. This is putting it lightly. Oh man, look at everything. It's so No, it will look way worse than this because there won't be any humans. There will be war. There will be famine. There will be mental retardation. Humans will just be incompetent, socially and sexually, physically incompetent. They will not be able to operate within the world they are living in. They will be addicted to technology. Technology will control them. AI will play such a factor in our world that human beings will become redundant in the decision-making process. So let's read this. Boomers versus Gen Z on math. Ew, math is boring. Guess what these Gen Z slangs mean?
If you go to top universities today and you ask kids, what do you want to do? That has changed. When I was there, they either wanted to go abroad or they wanted to write UPSC. This government has its ears.
Yeah, I'm not Indian, so I don't really care. Unbelievable ad targets Gen Z housing market with wild twist behind it. Let's see this.
A commercial came on, and the beginning of it is amazing. But then it takes an insane turn. Guess what the commercial's for?
Get a job, save a little, take out a mortgage, buy a house. Get a job, save a little, take out a mortgage, buy a house. Get a job, save a little, apply for a mortgage, get a second job, get some roommates, rent a house. Realize the only generation that's going to fix this is yours, and start building.
Now, this is a crypto. Crypto is a scam. It's literally digits on a screen. It's gambling. There's no difference between the crypto market and a casino. Okay, there's none, and the house always wins. The person who made the cryptocurrency will always win in the end, like how you see those rug pulls where they make a crap coin, like a meme coin, and then once people start buying that crap coin, the person just takes all the value away. Just the graph shoots to zero. Okay, I think I've seen a video on this rug pull live. So this was Squid Coin. I don't know what. So it was based on Squid Game. And this was a live rug pull.
Amount of coins that are locked, staked, whatever the fuck's going on, that would be the fully. But obviously the real one is not. So the market cap is $2.168 trillion. And now the market, oh, it went to zero. Yo! Damn! There we go. Squid Games. Sayonara, motherfucker.
So yeah, obviously you'd have to be an idiot to invest in any sort of cryptocurrency. I put like $100 into Litecoin. I think in like 2018, I made $20 and I said, oh, I'll just hold on to it. And then I lost like $40 in the end, and it just didn't make any sense. Like, I need that money. Like, it's so random. Like, it's so untrustworthy. Okay, you don't know what is going on behind the scenes of these coins. If you have expendable income to just throw out the window, yeah, it might be for you. But for the average person who's just barely getting by, I don't think the solution to all your life's problems is just throwing your money at crypto.
A commercial came on, and
And so this guy says, if Gen Z gets drafted, we're screwed.
Do me a favor and watch this video.
Why is everybody saying Gen Z is going to get drafted? Like, no, we're not. And you know why I know that? Because we're just going to say no. We have things to do nowadays. We have twerk, be bisexual. We're also like really mentally ill.
So this guy is obviously cringe, but he unintentionally exemplifies a much deeper problem. And that problem is that the US is not ready for any sort of major draft.
Obviously, okay, if Gen Z were to get drafted, it would be an epic failure. All those traditional values that came about in the early foundation of the United States are just gone. Like, gone. Religion, tradition, culture. The only thing that remains kind of sorta is maybe the nuclear family, maybe. But the birth rates are so low, you can't even say that's tradition anymore. And holidays, I guess, is still part of American values or tradition, whatever you want to call it. But that's mostly so corporations can profit off of marketing these holidays to you. There's nothing. We've become so individualistic, it would be seen as unacceptable to have people volunteer their lives and sacrifice themselves for the greater good. Nobody would accept that because we've been trained since birth. Oh, you gotta step on other people. You gotta climb the ladder. You gotta step all over the little guy. You gotta do this, do that, do that, do that to get what you want. It's all about me, 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 me. And that unintentionally has consequences when it comes to the military. When you have multiple generations at this point just trained to not value their community, to only think about themselves, to only get what they want, then yeah, it's not going to work out to have a draft. Okay, expect like the New York draft riots of the Civil War will be nothing if they enact a draft for the upcoming war with Iran, which is coming. There will be a war with Iran. Okay, either a proxy war or a direct conflict. And once that happens, there will be a war with Iraq, with Yemen, with Russia, and maybe China. Okay, it's not just Iran. Okay, it's all of Iran's allies, and it's pretty much the entire Middle East. Now, do you think this generation, with all of its problems, will be able to fight in a major conflict under constant shelling, under constant enemy fire, 24/7, 7 days a week? Do you think this generation that has to go through, like, what is it called, safe spaces? Do you think we're going to be able to fight that war when we've demonized things like masculinity? We've demonized things like just acting like a man. All of that stuff has been demonized to the point where it's not seen as good to be dominant or to be threatening to your enemies. Oh, I can't possibly do that. Oh man, oh that's not right. Like just crybabies. We are the crybaby generation. Now I'm not saying there's no gripes within this generation, because a lot of things are wrong and there's a lot of things to complain about. But in war, you really don't have time to think about any of that stuff. And thinking about that stuff will only put your life at risk. Okay, there's a clear difference between civilian life, the civilian mindset, and the military mindset. A military soldier is not supposed to think about anything but the objective. They're not supposed to have any other identity but besides his unit, his army, and his nation. That is the only identity. You're not supposed to have a million different genders and say, I identify as a gender fluid fish, that freaking, I don't know. But yeah, there's literally like 1,000 different identities that, it's just not compatible with military life. Okay, you can't have a unit of soldiers and like half of those soldiers don't even identify as the unit, but instead identify as some obscure gender or race or nationality. You are only supposed to identify with your nation. Otherwise, there's fragmentation and a whole host of other different stuff that comes along with it that just is not compatible.
And the rest of the world knows this. A single Hamas fighter could take on 20 Gen Zers in a single go. And a well-trained Chinese or North Korean soldier could probably double that number. Pretty much every person in the US under the age of 35 is too lazy, mentally ill, nihilistic, and...
Now, that's actually pretty true, and a lot of this has to do with social media, which has promoted individuality, ego. We're so egocentric. We always want likes for us. Oh, people have to like me. And that in turn drives mental illnesses, because if you feel that people don't like you on social media, you feel inadequate. You're constantly looking at other people live their best life while your life is seemingly mundane compared to theirs. And this is how it goes. This is all rooted in technology, really. Technology. It's the main culprit.
and critical of our government to be able to withstand a real military conflict required people to actually physically fight.
And our enemies know this. We're just too critical of our own government. A lot of people wouldn't be willing to fight in a war in the Middle East or in China. If China just declared war on Taiwan today and started invading, nobody would want to fight for that war. That war, just thinking about that war would just be hell on earth. Okay, and China probably doesn't even want to fight head on with the United States, because if they do fight head on with the United States, then that means the United States population would probably rally in support of the war. So they're going to do so in covert means. They're going to take on Taiwan while trying to avoid conflict with the United States. Okay, but is America going to swoop in and put themselves in the line of fire, jump in front of a bullet in front of Taiwan, and sacrifice their American soldiers for Taiwan? I don't think so. Most people would say no. Just let China have Taiwan. Is it really that important to sacrifice? In a war with China would probably result in millions, not hundreds of thousands, but millions of American soldiers dying, and it would cause thousands of billions and billions and billions of dollars in damage to American infrastructure. It would just destabilize our country indefinitely. A lot of people are like, no, it's not worth it. Now, I'm not saying that Taiwan is in the wrong for wanting Americans to protect them, because I'm not a fan of China. I'm not a fan of Iran. I think those countries have a lot of problems. But when it comes to who I care about the most, it's America. I care about America the most. I'm not going to sacrifice America and American stability in order to protect other countries. Like we said the same thing about South Vietnam. We said, oh, we're gonna go and save South Vietnam, an authoritarian country that has nothing to offer for us whatsoever. And 60,000 American troops died, which is a lot compared to other American wars. Yeah, it's just a huge joke.
Fight. The only thing we have going for us is our technology and the fact that we could literally destroy the entire world with nukes if we wanted to. But our inability and honestly our disinterest in defending our pretty cushy way of life is a pretty good indication of where the US is headed. And I can assure you that direction is not in the upward direction.
Now, yes, thank you, Captain Obvious. It's going downhill, mostly because of bad leadership. Our leadership is just old people making bad decisions, not thinking about the modern world, which has changed. America is not a superpower anymore. Let's be real. America has bases everywhere, but it doesn't command any nation. You can put a base anywhere, but that base isn't going to cause the people within that nation to like you or to even listen to you. So it's really just pointless. And all of this is for the benefit of the military-industrial complex, which profits off of these bases, off of these weapons, off of these aircraft, off of these ships, off of these bombings. Every single bomb drop, the military-industrial complex profits off of them. Okay, that's all this comes down to. The military-industrial complex is arguably the most powerful force in America. There's no force that is greater than the military-industrial complex. They killed JFK. The JFK would be alive if it wasn't for the military-industrial complex. JFK wanted the American soldiers out of Vietnam before the Vietnam War really escalated. And you know what? They killed him. They killed him. They said, no, we gotta have this war. We gotta send more troops, send more bombs, send more planes. We gotta have all this in Vietnam. And JFK was like, no, we gotta have peace. And they killed him. They killed him. So that just goes to show you where this country is heading. A lot of this is common knowledge at this point. Very rarely Will people not know this information 10, 20 years ago? That wasn't the case. People were like, oh, the military industrial complex, what is that? But now people know exactly what that is. That means that our wars are not for protection, they are not for defense, they are for profit, and not for the profit of the American people, not for the benefit of the American people, for the benefit of a small group of CEOs that work at these companies. Okay, they don't care how many children die. They don't care how many civilians die. They don't care how many American soldiers die, as long as they are able to make money off of these conflicts. We've been at a constant state of war for the last 100+ years. We've always been at a state of war, and guess who profits? Do the American people get anything out of this? No. No. All we've done is cause the world to hate us. We are a country filled with rich culture, with a rich heritage, and we are based on freedom. So why do we spend all this time subjugating the rest of the world? It's crazy. So what do you guys think? Do you guys think Gen Z is screwed? Are we screwed? If a war breaks out, will Gen Z step in the line of fire and do its duty? Do you guys think Gen Z is not good in the workforce? Let me know in the comments.